boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from Salvador Rodriguez, otherwise known as Chava, ESPN, world champion Yokasta Valle is now a free agent. According to sources close to the team, she has received her release from Golden Boy Promotions, and news about her professional future is expected in the coming days. Her sister, Naomi, is already working under MVP and is set to make her MVP debut this weekend on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez. And this news comes to us at a time where MVP is signing a lot of female fighters. They're signing fighters from all over the place, so it's conceivable that if they signed Naomi, why wouldn't they sign her champion older sister, Yokasta? Still holds the WBC title in the minimum weight division. It just so happens that Japan's own Yuko Kuroki successfully defended her WBA minimum weight title against Nanako Suzuki by way of a unanimous decision, leaving her free to unify titles with one of the other champions at the weight, of which there are 4. Yokasta Valle is one, Yuko is another. Sol Kudos of Argentina, unbeaten, holds the IBF title, and Sarah Borman of Germany, she's got the WBO. Of the 4 champions at this weight, Yokasta Valle is head and shoulders the most experienced champion of the 4, the most decorated champion of the 4, with a mandatory challenger in the queue in the form of Umi Ishikawa. I expected that to be Yokasta Valle's last fight, but for some reason, Golden Boy Promotions had her fight Marlena Esparza all the way up there at flyweight instead, in a fight that didn't make any sense to me. It would seem that Golden Boy Promotions has granted Yokasta her release, likely because they didn't know what to do with this fighter, or they didn't care to do much with this fighter. That is, they weren't invested in an undisputed run in the minimum weight division. Would seem the logical thing to do. But I suppose that they didn't care to do that. Not if you had her fighting all the way up there at flyweight, when there were 3 champions right there that she can fight and unify with. So now, I expect Yokasta Valle to migrate over to MVP, like her younger sister, and perhaps kickstart an undisputed run in the minimum weight division, where she still holds the WBC title. The only question is, because her last fight was all the way up there at flyweight, can she still get down to minimum? Because if she can, and she can do it match fit, I give her very good odds to become this division's next undisputed champion. The last one was Senicia Estrada, who abruptly retired after her controversial win over Yokasta. That was unexpected, which gave rise to this new crop of champions that sprouted after Senicia retired and vacated all of those alphabet titles. Yokasta was vehement that she wanted a second fight. She wanted a rematch with Senicia Estrada, what would have been the biggest and the best fight in this division anywhere at or around these weights, but as stated, Senicia had other plans. She wanted to call it a career. But Yokasta Valle still remains, and there's still history to be made. There's still belts to unify. She can still go on an undisputed run, especially with MVP behind her. The undisputed effort would move along more quickly with less friction. MVP is fast becoming the best place for a female fighter to fight, for the best money. And that's where I expect Yokasta Valle to go now that she's achieved free agency. We'll see what happens. That news is pending. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Keyshawn Davis, via his Instagram stories, uploaded a PSA saying, "For these past few weeks, I've reflected over my actions, and I apologize to everyone that I've affected. I let my supporters down, especially the youth that looked up to me. I will set a better example. Thanks to everyone that's still checking up on me. It's all love, and in the end, the truth will reveal itself." What truth needs to be revealed? He blew the weight by, what was it, 3 or 4 pounds? Which resulted in the fight being canceled after they couldn't reach a deal to reconcile things, even though they wouldn't have had to, had he not blown the weight. And the melee afterwards, after his brother Kelvin lost to Albright. What truth needs to reveal itself? The situation seems plain as day. In spite of this, that's hardly the end for Keyshawn Davis. Some people are still going to bring this up to slight him whenever it's convenient. But he can make everyone forget with a stellar performance. Now that he's moving up from 135 up to 140, there are a lot of good options up there for him. A lot of those fights at 140 are actually more doable than the ones at 135. He was never going to fight his old buddy Shakur Stevenson, and he wasn't going to have any luck with Deontay Davis. He didn't seem interested in Raymond Muratalla. Even though the names at 140 are not as big as the names at 135, the pool of options is deeper. The only snafu is that because Keyshawn Davis was uncrowned as WBO champion at 135 so unceremoniously, he doesn't move up now and get a cushy rank. If you go to the WBO's website, he's not ranked by them at 135 or at 140. But if he would have had the fight with Edwin and won the fight with Edwin, then vacated the title afterwards, he would have had a cushy rank waiting for him at 140. Teofimo Lopez is still WBO champion there. Keyshawn Davis versus Teofimo Lopez makes for a great fight. And if things wouldn't have happened the way that they did, Keyshawn could have been hot on his trail. The saving grace is that that's not the only great fight for Keyshawn at 140. He can always target the winner of Puello versus Matias. He can always target Gary Antoine Russell for the WBC and WBA titles. He could always go after Richardson Hitchens, or he could go after his newly vacated title, since I don't expect him to stay there. There's a lot of options. Keyshawn has a lot to choose from, arguably more than he did at 135, and because none of these guys are all that big names, that makes a lot of those fights doable for Keyshawn. The sooner he returns to action, the sooner he can make people forget about the Edwin De Los Santos fight. Though I did hear a rumor earlier this week that they may be looking to reschedule that fight. Edwin is no longer with Samson Lukowicz after all, so maybe that makes for a more hospitable environment to revisit the fight. Personally, I'm not hung up on it. The fight with Edwin De Los Santos was a good little fight at 135, but I feel that 140 has so much more to offer that I don't actually care for the Edwin De Los Santos fight. In fact, I would like to see Edwin have a fight, a tune-up fight, before he goes in there with Keyshawn. Because remember, he still hasn't fought since the Shakur Stevenson fight. Now that things fell apart, get that guy a fight on Pro Box at least. Let him have a tune-up fight, then do the fight with Keyshawn. Top Rank's nebulous broadcast situation is also worth noting. We still don't know who their new broadcast partner or broadcast partners are going to be, and until we do, we don't really know when we can expect to see Keyshawn return to the ring. I suppose that he could always fight on one of Turkey's shows, since he is one of their brand ambassadors, on a Ring Magazine show, or a Riyadh Season show in the fall.
A rip and ready 225 and 1/2 pounds for the former heavyweight world champion. Again, ladies and gentlemen, don't call it a comeback. It is a return tomorrow night. The center of the boxing world is taking place here in Wichita, Kansas.
So the boys are all weighed in, and Deontay Wilder is all revved up for his return, saying, I know I'm ready, I know I'm right, I know I'm back. But the reception for his ring return is less than what it used to be, what was Deontay Wilder's fan base. Former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder isn't interested in hearing anybody refer to his next fight as a comeback. As far as the Bronze Bomber is concerned, he never left boxing and is merely ending a one-year layoff that he said he needed in order to deal with a nagging shoulder problem and to get his mentality right. There will be skeptics as to why, at age 39 and having earned 9 figures, Wilder is fighting again, given that he's lost 2 in a row in completely different ways, in extremely lackluster performances. But he said he is now healthy, in a good state of mind, and still has goals. I just had to overcome a lot of different things, and here I am. I know I'm ready, I know I'm right, I know I'm back. Wilder's return will come against Tyrell Herndon in the scheduled 10-round main event of a Global Combat Collective card dubbed Legacy Reloaded on Friday, pay-per-view.com, integrated sports pay-per-view at 9 p.m. for $24.99 at Charles Koch Arena in Wichita, Kansas. Wilder hopes a victory will pave the way to a fight with Anthony Joshua, which has been talked about for years, and eventually another shot at a world title. Even if the odds would seem to be against him, I've been taking care of a lot of business this past year, having some type of understanding of what's going on with me, Wilder said in reference to dealing with a shoulder injury, but also alluding to his mental health. Why have I fallen on the short end of the stick in my last couple of outings and different things, and I had to find a solution to the problem. At first I didn't understand what the hell was going on with me and why things were happening until I realized what was going on and why things were happening.
What was happening?
According to Deontay Wilder, I lost my confidence, but now it's back.
So he says.
Not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but it's a lot easier to feel confident fighting a Tyrell Herndon than fighting a Joseph Parker or fighting a Zhilei Zhang. Those are world-class operators. Tyrell is not. Those losses had Wilder questioning his future in the sport. I mean, I thought about retirement many times, he told Boxing Scene, but with the Zhang and the Parker fights, it actually helped me in a lot of ways to analyze what the hell was going on with me. I wasn't the same person. I wasn't the same Deontay at all. There was a lot of shit going on with me at the time, inside and outside of the ring. I had to go get a sports psychologist. That's how bad it got.
And that's on top of the ayahuasca.
So it's gonna make you a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher, a little bit meaner, he explained. You have a little bit more confidence, but in reality, it didn't happen like that for me. And I couldn't understand what was going on with me. I couldn't understand certain things, and I can't tell it at all, but I want people to know I went through a lot. I did lose my confidence, and I never thought in a million years it would be me, Deontay Wilder. There'd be a man that I'd say I lost my confidence because I was dealing with something way bigger than putting on gloves and entering into a ring to beat the shit out of another man that's in front of me. When I realized and I understood the problem, I went and found help. I went and found a solution. I didn't wait, and I'm happy. I'm gonna feel amazing, he said of his emotions ahead of being back in the ring. You know, my mind is back, my spirit. Physically, I'm back. I'm free of injuries now. They used to call me Windmill Wilder, he said, lifting his right arm by his ear. I didn't have that windmill anymore. I got that mother now. I've got 2 surgeries on my shoulders. It had cost me to still be injured at least the last 3 or 4 years of my career.
I suppose that's how Wilder reconciles not letting the right hand go in the Joseph Parker fight and the Zhilei Zhang fight.
But then again, he did let it go with his old sparring partner, Robert Helenius. I could have sat around for years to try to heal this shoulder up, and anybody knows anything about a shoulder injury, they know that's like one of the longest recoveries. Every time I lifted my arm, or threw my right hand, or even wiped my ass, my arm, my shoulder were hurt. I was in pain 24 hours a day, but I still tried to have a regular lifestyle. You can't let it irritate you or bother you for the rest of your life. You've got to be able to adapt to the pain and the situation and still have some type of natural ability of carrying on with life. But having injuries 24 hours a day, being in pain, I'm a true warrior, man. A lot of people don't know what I had to go through and what I have been through. Wilder is confident that his surgically repaired shoulder and his new and improved mindset could unlock a bright future, even at his advanced age. He believes he has found the reasons behind his defeats, but knows that on Friday he will find out. My next outing is going to be the measuring stick for a lot of things, he admitted. I'm coming to do what I've always come to do, whoop some ass.
The barometer for Deontay Wilder's ring return and where he really is as a fighter can't be Tyrell Herndon, because Tyrell Herndon is a gatekeeper.
I'm a loner. I'm a loner anyway, he added. You feel me? I've always been a loner. My dad always stated to me when I was young, you don't have no friends and you don't bring them in my house, because he knew how human beings could be, how they gather around you and fake it till they can see how much they can get from you. But as you show me love, I'm gonna show you love right back, so come here. Even we had to give a hug, bro. I love you, man. Some people need the affirmation of words and a hug. You know how much a hug does for a person, especially when they need the affirmation of touch and feel. Women and men, especially the men, because we have to put on this persona of being tough. And I don't understand that you only have to be tough and brave in times if it needs for that to be, and if your life consists of you having to be tough every day of your life, you need to sit down and take an evaluation of your life and get your shit together, because this life is short. This is not a promised life that we live. We're not promised to get old and then die. That's not the concept of how this works.
He's gotten rid of a lot of people over the years. Mark Breland, I think he got rid of JD's, and we know that he's severed ties to Malik Scotch.
In tandem with his longtime girlfriend. Are all these the snakes that he's referring to? I don't have to think about anyone else, he continued. My kids are well taken care of for the rest of their lives, even if I die, for the rest of their life. Whatever comes now, in the future, is the extra.
So this is not a big re-ed season show or a Matchroom show. It's not PBC on pay-per-view. This is a relatively small affair. What that communicates to me is that Wilder at least understands he needs a tune-up fight. And that is what this is. It's a tune-up fight.
He needs one, a year out from his last one. I'm not a man that's sitting and bragging and bullshitting, he said. You damn near never see me or see me post about anything. I'm just a private dude. I'm laid back. I don't care about celebrity status or being well known. I don't care if just one person in the world knows who I am. That's just me. I walk differently. I talk differently. My grandmother said I was anointed by God, that I wouldn't be able to do what others do, go where other people go, see the world as others see it, and I don't. If I was, shit. You're talking about a dude that's been an athlete all his life. I never hung around the football team. I never hung around the basketball team, the baseball team, the track guys. You understand me? I was always to myself. Even while having other athletes or other team members offering certain things or to be around, I was to myself. And that's how I always am. That's how I always would be. Now I can throw this right hand as hard and as fast as I want to, not having to think about anything, not having a second delay. I can shoot the right hand off the hip and not have the pain. And if anyone has pain and goes through it 24 hours a day, no matter what you do, you would understand how I felt. You could barely move this arm. I feel the left hand dominates now. This arm has been screwed up for so long, and I've had to count more on my left arm than my right.
Deontay's hardly the first boxer to rally a comeback and make a lot of big promises in the process of doing so. I mean, look at Manny. He's 46, fighting for a welterweight title, which, in contrast, makes Wilder's return at 39 seem pretty tame. It's tell-them age for a boxer to think they've always got one more big one left in them.
Deontay Wilder clearly does. He's still talking about fighting for alphabet titles. He's still talking about unifying. But Tyrell Herndon can hardly be the litmus test for what Deontay Wilder has left to give the sport of boxing. He could go in there, shoot the right, and knock him out just as easily as he knocked out Robert Helenius. But knocking out Robert Helenius, that didn't speak to what would happen in the Parker fight, what would happen in the Zhang fight, that ultimately, who you fight.
That's what tells the story. You're fighting Tyrell Herndon.
Deontay Wilder has made quite a bit of all the surgeries that he's had and the pain he says he's no longer under. But you land that right hand on this guy too hard and you could be right back in the shit again. You're 39 years old. You don't heal up at 39 the way you do at 29.
You could bust up your hand, injure your shoulder.
I expect Deontay to make it through Tyrell Herndon. At minimum, I think he can do that. And I even think there are one or two big fights left out there for him. But as far as fighting for alphabet titles and unifying them, I think his time at the top is done.
I don't see him becoming a two-time heavyweight champion, but good luck to him.